The world only saw her smile. No one saw what it cost her. When the news broke, it didn't just spread. It stopped everything. Timelines froze mid-scroll. Conversations that usually filled the internet's noise suddenly went silent. Because this wasn't just another headline or trending tag. It was a heartbreak that felt personal. Emman Atienza, 19 years old. A daughter, a friend, a voice of light in a world that often feels too heavy. To those who knew her through the screen, she wasn't just someone to follow. She was someone who made the day feel softer. Her laugh could turn anxiety into calm. Her honesty reminded people that even online, it was still possible to be real. That's why, when her name appeared beside the word gone, the internet itself seemed to hold its breath. Every comment section turned into a memorial, every post a candle flickering in digital silence. Because Emmen wasn't just a name. She was warmth, humor, and honesty personified. And losing her felt like losing the very kindness the world keeps saying it wants to protect. It was an ordinary Friday morning when the words appeared on Instagram. Just a few lines, but heavy enough to break a nation's heart. From Kuya Kim Atienza and Felicia Hung came a message no parent should ever have to write. It is with deep sadness that we share the unexpected passing of our daughter and sister, Emmen. She brought so much joy, laughter, and love into our lives and into the lives of everyone who knew her. No photo, no long caption. Just grief laid bare in words that felt too small for the pain behind them. Within minutes, the post was flooded with candle emojis and broken heart reactions. Colleagues, classmates, celebrities, and strangers all echoed the same disbelief. Timelines turned into candlelight vigils. Old clips of Emmen laughing on camera resurfaced like tiny fragments of sunshine. Fans reposted her quotes about kindness and courage, trying to hold on to the parts of her that once made them feel seen. Hashtags bearing her name began trending across the Philippines, then far beyond. For a rare moment, the internet, a place so often driven by outrage, became quiet, reverent, almost sacred. Every comment carried the same message: "Thank you for the light you gave us." Before her name became a headline, Emmen was the voice you listened to when the world felt too heavy. She didn't pretend to be perfect, and that's exactly why people trusted her. In a sea of filters and flawless lives, she spoke about anxiety, overthinking, and the quiet loneliness that hides behind every smiling photo. Her humor made it bearable, a mix of wit and warmth that could turn vulnerability into strength. On TikTok, her following wasn't built on trends or polished aesthetics. It was built on truth. Her videos were small, human moments, laughing over spilled coffee, giving pep talks to strangers, sharing reminders that it was okay to have bad days. For thousands of young people, she was the proof that being open didn't make you weak. It made you real. But behind the ring light and captions was someone still learning how to carry her own heart. Between the real world she loved and the digital one that demanded more, she tried to keep her balance, showing up for others even on the days she couldn't show up for herself. To her followers, she was comfort. To her family, she was sunshine. To herself, she was still figuring it all out. But even light casts shadows. For all the joy she gave to others, Emmen faced a side of the internet that few can truly survive. The part that feeds on judgment. Late last year, a simple post about dinner with friends spiraled into a storm. What she saw as a harmless memory, others twisted into something cruel. Words like privileged and nepo baby began to appear beneath her smiling photos, typed by strangers who had never met her, yet spoke as if they owned her story. She stayed quiet at first, trying to let it pass. But silence online doesn't stop the noise. It only makes it louder. Eventually, she took a break from social media. And when she came back, she spoke with the kind of honesty that made her followers fall in love with her in the first place. "I deactivated my account because the hate piled up in my head subconsciously," she admitted during a live stream, her voice barely above a whisper. "I dread the anticipation of hate I'll have to force myself to ignore." It wasn't a statement meant to trend. It was a small cry for peace, spoken into a digital world that rarely gives it. Because no matter how strong you seem, the constant weight of unseen criticism can bend even the kindest souls. For every word of support she received, another would appear trying to tear it all down. And in between those two extremes, love and cruelty, she kept trying to be herself. When Emmen moved to Los Angeles, it felt like a sunrise after a long storm. To her followers, the shift looked like healing. New surroundings, new routines, a fresh start far from the noise that once followed her. She shared snippets of her days, early walks, quiet coffee moments, time spent with family and friends. Her videos glowed with sunlight and laughter, the kind of warmth that made people believe she was finally at peace. Each post felt like a small victory, a caption about courage, a smile in a park, a reminder to breathe. And though no one could have known it at the time, her last TikTok, shared just 2 days before her passing, looked like pure happiness. Friends and followers filled the comments with hearts, thinking she was stepping into a new chapter. Looking back, those moments feel different now, not because they were false, but because they were fragile. Sometimes people who give the most hope are the ones quietly searching for it themselves. Emmen's light never dimmed out of weakness. It flickered under the weight of being too kind in a world that isn't always kind back. Her move to Los Angeles was more than a change of scenery. It was her way of choosing life again, of finding balance in a world that had often taken too much. And though her journey ended far too soon, that chapter will always stand as proof that she tried. She tried to keep going, to keep believing, to keep shining. In the days that followed, grief transformed into reflection. What began as mourning became a movement, one that stretched far beyond the Philippines. Online forums, classrooms, and community spaces started having the conversations Emmen had always wanted people to have. About kindness, about pressure, about what words can do to a person. Mental health advocates began speaking out again, reminding everyone that awareness should not begin only when tragedy strikes. Fans organized virtual candlelight vigils, art tributes, and donation drives in her name. Some painted her smile on murals. Others created digital collages of her quotes. Be kind, even when it's hard. You are enough, even when the world says otherwise. For many, keeping her message alive became a way of keeping her spirit close. Even public figures joined the conversation, calling for stronger measures against online harassment. News outlets covered not just her loss, but what it revealed about the cruelty of social media. How one hateful comment can echo louder than 100 kind ones. And through it all, her family stayed grounded in grace. In their official statement, they wrote, "To honor Emmen's memory, we hope you carry forward the qualities she lived by. Compassion, courage, and kindness." Those words resonated deeply. They weren't just a goodbye. They were an invitation, a call to every person who had ever admired her to live a little gentler, speak a little softer, and love a little louder. Because even in her absence, Emmen was still teaching the world how to care. For her generation, Emmen represented something rare, honesty in an age built on perfection. She didn't chase the illusion of flawlessness that dominates social media. She showed the cracks, the uncertainty, the humanness beneath it all. And that's why people trusted her. Because when everyone else was pretending, she told the truth. That it's okay not to be okay. That it's brave to admit when you're struggling. And that kindness is still the strongest language we have. Her story became more than a moment of sadness. It became a mirror, reflecting how deeply young people crave connection in a world that often replaces it with likes and validation. Through her openness, she taught thousands that vulnerability isn't weakness. It's courage in its purest form. The legacy she leaves behind isn't measured in followers or views. It's measured in every person who found comfort in her words, in every quiet message sent to a friend saying, "Are you okay?" And in every stranger who decides to be kinder because of her example. Emmen's light didn't vanish. It changed form. It lives on in conversations about empathy, in classrooms that talk about mental health, in communities learning to treat one another more gently. She reminded an entire generation that being real is enough, and that compassion can outshine cruelty if we choose it to. Her story reminds us that behind every smile on our screen is a heart that still feels. We scroll through people's lives every day, forgetting that each photo, each caption, hides a heartbeat. Someone trying, someone hoping, someone fighting battles we'll never see. Emmen's journey is a reminder that words matter. The ones we say, the ones we type, and the ones we choose to stay silent on. They can heal or they can hurt. And sometimes, one kind message can be the difference between someone holding on and letting go. So check on your friends, especially the ones who seem fine. Respond to that quiet post. Say something kind without waiting for a reason. Because in a world that moves too fast, compassion is the one thing that slows time long enough to make a difference. Emman Atienza may be gone, but her light didn't fade. It multiplied. It lives in every act of empathy. In every moment we choose grace over judgment, and in every heart that remembers her message. That kindness still matters, and that even in silence, love speaks the loudest.